Do what you want, 'cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate. Yar-har, fiddle-dee-dee. Being a pirate is alright to me. Do what you want, 'cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate. Yar-har, fiddle-dee-dee. Being a pirate is alright to me. Do what you want, 'cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
Hi guys, Billy back, and we're going to be having another new unboxing today. Now, they say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and if that's true, then XD Toys have not only given Hot Toys a huge compliment, but they've then followed it up with a dick pic and the offer to hook up. This is Captain of the Octopus, which in turn is a recast knockoff version of Hot Toys Davy Jones 1/6 scale figure movie masterpiece series number 62. So it was a very early piece that was initially released in 2008, 2 years after the original Dead Man's Chest came out in cinemas. Now, what was interesting about this release was that this was a mostly sculpted figure. Hot Toys mostly dealt with stock 1/6 bodies up until this point and tailored clothing, but in order to do this character justice, they had to actually sculpt most of the figure themselves. It was something that a lot of collectors were put off by, and so as a result, not a huge amount were made. This made it incredibly rare and difficult to come by. This resulted in a seriously high aftermarket sale price and has made it, for most collectors, a difficult figure to justify buying. Now, there are several schools of thought on the subject of making knockoff versions of existing figures. I myself would hate to buy a Hot Toy only to discover it was a rip-off version of lesser quality. Some say it's stealing an artist's work and should never be done, but I tend to take each figure created and weigh it against many factors before I decide whether it's out of order or not. Now, first of all, I look at the figure and say, is it advertising itself as a Hot Toy? In this case, no. Now, some dodgy eBay sellers might try that and try and sell it as an original, but that's not really XD's Toys' fault. That's the fault of the seller, and there are many people who take things and try to advertise them as what they're not. Now, is it clearly a knockoff? Well, yes. Is it still being sold by the original company? No. Is it ever likely to be released again? No. Will it affect the original's price? Most likely not. I say that because sometimes that does happen, but I don't think that will. Purists will still want to buy the original Hot Toys figure because of the quality and the fact that they're actually trying to get Hot Toys. They're not trying, you know, they're big fans of the company and they want to get everything that they've made. Is it taking food out of the mouth of the original company? No, Hot Toys haven't made a dime on this figure for approximately 8 years. Any money that has ever been made in the last, well, definitely 7 years, has been on the reseller's side. Hot Toys haven't made a penny. So then I would argue that this is on the lower end of the dodgy knockoff spectrum, and it gets a pass from me. However, I haven't actually opened this, and I could be in for a nasty shock if it turns out to be a big pile of shit and not worth the money I paid for it. Now that's the risk here. It's not going to have the QC control Hot Toys have, and for that you are always going to take a little risk. However, let's just unbox this guy now and have a look at what we've actually got. It's going to be very interesting to see what we have here. I got this from KG Hobby. They were a really good seller. I always trust them to get stuff. Sometimes I get it from 1/6 Kit as well. They're also a very good company. And I ordered these, and this was definitely not advertised as a Hot Toy. It was definitely advertised as an XD Toy Captain of the Octopus figure. Let's see if I can get this open. You're going to look at a bare screen for a sec. And there we go. Let's get this back here. Now, what we have here, from the looks of it, is we have, well, it looks to be a very plain black box, very matte black box. There's nothing on this. Absolutely nothing. Nothing on the top, nothing on the sides. All there is a warning. This is not for children under 3 years. Product is not a toy. It's an adult collectible aged for 15 years and up. And that's all you get. And I have to be honest, it's quite nice. I mean, I'm a big fan of black anyway because all my clothes, most of my clothes are black. So, you know, I'm a big fan of the colour black. And this is quite a nice looking box. It would have been nice if they had like a little tape banner thing just saying Captain of the Octopus on, maybe some scrolls, maybe some old nautical maps across the banner there that you could slide off. But hey, maybe that was what they were going to do and they never bothered in the end. I mean, this was originally going to be cancelled from what people had said. 1/6 Kit and TNS both were a bit apprehensive about it because they said they advertised it by XD Toys, but then there was rumour and speculation that they were going to cancel it because they weren't sure it was going to work or not. So it was really quite interesting when it was actually advertised and said, it's here, it's ready, you can buy it. And everyone was like, oh right, okay. We thought it would be cancelled, you know, no one was pre-ordering it because they weren't sure. But let's pop this open and let's have a look at what we actually have. I was really surprised when it actually went up for order, and when I saw it, you know, my curiosity got the best of me. I really wanted to see what sort of thing XD Toys could do, see how well they could get away with this stuff. Sorry if you see my arm in the way. But the way I've got the camera set up, I'm going to be cutting across the camera sometimes. But as I've done videos with my ugly mug in before, I don't think you're going to feel too bad seeing me again. Now it's got a clamshell. This I don't know, this looks very similar to the original Hot Toys clamshell for the figure itself. So it's going to be interesting to pop this open. But as we can see, he's got his chest there. There's the figure in the middle. Looks quite interesting actually. Yeah, very interesting. It's got his sword with the scabbard. Got his staff there. Got his pipe, his hat, the key, and the heart of Davy Jones. Okay guys, I'm going to pop this guy out of the box and we'll see what we've got in a sec. Okay guys, so here he is out of the box. I'm having to use the Hateful Eight John Ruth basic stand here because I don't have a stand with him. He doesn't come with one. That's one of the down perks of buying one of these, is that you have to source your own stand. Obviously if you get the Hot Toys one, you can get your own, but the stands, you know, are pretty cheap nowadays, and you can get decal stickers printed up to stick on the stand so you can have a really nice customized stand. I recommend talking to Seth Stoneberger on Facebook, Stony Stands. Have a look on Facebook for him. He does loads of different kinds of clear acrylic stands and different types of acrylic stand of many different colors and layers, and he can knock you out some really amazing stands. He's one of my favorite guys for making stands, and I buy quite a few from him. First off, my initial impressions is that it is actually a stock 1/6 body under there. Believe it or not, it is actually a 1/6 stock body, and what happens is that this is all rubberized clothing. It's like rubber sculpted clothing over the top of the 1/6 figure. As you can see, I'm squeezing on the leg because that's all rubberized, and you can feel the 1/6 stand underneath. They've removed the leg here and they've just put this non-articulated crab leg, because obviously that's how it was. He used to just limp around, and that's why he uses his stick. I haven't got him posed with the stick properly yet. I've got it in his hand. Now I'm not sure. I think the original Hot Toys version actually comes with a metal wire inside this large fingered tentacle. So this doesn't seem to have it. You just sort of wrap it around a little bit. But then I suspect if you warm that up with the hairdryer for a couple of minutes while it's still malleable, twist it around the staff a bit more, and you could probably get yourself an even nicer sort of movement around. But obviously don't heat it up too much, don't melt the bloody thing, but just warm it up with the hairdryer mildly and just let it twist around, and then hold it there until it cools again, and then you should be able to get a nice molded sculpt. I'll try and do that before I finish this video. My initial thoughts on this guy is he's actually really nice. There are some really nice little accessories. I've seen people talking about, like, people have compared this one to the original, and you know, the case, although it is quite sturdy, they say it is of a lesser quality and the paint app is just not as good. But if we pull this in, we can see some of the detail in this is really, really good. Some really nice detail in there. Even for a knockoff version, it's still really good. So I'm trying to do this, but you know, the focus keeps popping in and out. Cheap camera, cheap guy, hence a knockoff. But that is a really nice case. That's going to look absolutely brilliant next to my DX06 Jack Sparrow and all the stuff I've got around him. So that's going to look great. You get the heart of Davy Jones, which just looks as gross as it did in the movie. It's very practical, and that will go inside this thing. Let's put it in there now, actually. There you go. The heart of Davy Jones. And you got his pipe, which was sculpted, and it seems to have like talons on it. It's made of some sort of, possibly wood with some barnacle crustacean around there. And the pipe bit. Now, people have said they've tried to put it in his mouth and they can't, but I think that just needs, again, a little bit of warming up, because his mouth can open a little bit. You can just pull that down and get it in there, but you'll have to be very careful not to break it. And this is the hat. Now, I've seen people on the forums actually say that this hat, there isn't much between this and the original Hot Toys version. They're saying that this is really close to the original. Looks like something that they've stepped up their game on and made sure they got right. But it is very, very nice. As you can see, the colours with all the barnacles. The seaweed has been used, mixed in. It's a different kind of seaweed, but it's slightly clear. And you can see it's all lovely and green. Because one of the things, even the original Hot Toys version, some of the paint applications just made this guy look very muddy. And it was very difficult to be able to justify getting him when he looked just so muddy, and you know, you need really good lighting to bring out the details. But anyway, I'm going to pop this off the stand and I'm going to bring this forward and see if we can't get ourselves a bit more of a closer look at his details as such. And here we have the head. Now, people have been saying that the details are really, really nice in this, but you can really see from comparison pics of both this one and the original Hot Toys, things like the eyes, the blending of the eyes with the skin of the octopus skin is just a little bit more faded in the original version. The lines in this are a bit harsher around the eyes. Not much, but there's enough there to say, you know, if you're a purist and you want the best quality, then I would recommend you still focus on trying to get that Hot Toys version. The bandana, as you can see, there's loads of little specks of paint in the bandana, but you can see the sort of like, they're sort of painted on. And I think the Hot Toys version would be a little better than that. Just a little, but just enough. But as you can see, it is a perfect replica sculpt of the tentacles and head. But I think it's lost maybe 5 to 10% of the detail. Things like the breathing hole there that he blows the smoke out of just here underneath his cheekbone was a little bit more detailed, just a little bit more in the original. Tiny amount, but you know. And you can see some of the crevices and the lines in the octopus tentacles. I think they were a bit more enhanced in the original Hot Toys version. But then as they're all hand painted, I'd say there'd be variants where they probably didn't look as good as some others, depending on how the painter was feeling that day and how they managed to achieve a better sculpt or better paint on each one. Needs like darkness in the tentacles, some more blackwashing, but I'd say there's probably a bit more layering, a bit more reddish pinkishness in the original. There's a guy on Facebook, on one of the forums, who was sharing some comparison pics because he has too. I'm going to try and put them on this video if I can, so that you guys can see it as well. And I'll give him a shout out. There's a guy called Chunk on Sideshow Freaks. But you can see the sculpted suit, the buttons, the trim. I'd say that trim is probably a bit nicer in the original Hot Toys version as well. But again, I don't own the original Hot Toys version, so I can't say for definite. As you can see, the sleeves, the greens and the blues and the barnacles actually look quite good. And I'm giving you a really close-up look at this. This will look really good in the cabinet next to your Jack Sparrow, I'd say. Barnacle infused stick, which is nice because it has some greens, has some browns, even a slight bit of redding on that stick there. So they've definitely added different layers of colour into this. It's not just a simple, they did a brown stick and then did a black wash over the top. They have actually made an attempt to try and replicate it. And there's a barnacle infused scabbard and sword, which is just plastic, and it hooks onto his belt here. On the seaweed, which again you can see is like a clear seaweed that they've stuck on. I'm not sure if that mesh material is any good. I'd say that would probably be better on the Hot Toys version. Now, one of the things that has been noted is that the original Hot Toys version, that waistcoat apparently comes down lower. This is I think that's a resculpted waistcoat, and the detail here, just here, is a little bit more prominent on the original Hot Toys version, but this normally comes down to around here on the Hot Toys version. So this has shrunk a little bit, not much. I doubt you would actually notice that very well. There's the seaweed, and then we got this crab arm. If you turn it in certain angles, you can see underneath, you can see the actual attachment. But if you lift it up in the right way, you can actually move it. The crab hand does open up a little bit and shut a little bit. Not much, but it's enough for a little bit more of a pose if you want him to open it up a little bit. Then you've got the barnacle seaweed infused trousers. Again, rubberized. You've got these boots that have many colours in them actually, because if you come up here you can really see there's some reds, there's greens, there's blues, there's brown, and there's blacks all the way through these boots. Very big close up. We turn this around, we can see the crab claw. It's got some layering. I'd say this would be a bit more subtle. The black to reds would probably have a, like this would probably be a bit more layered within the Hot Toy, but it's not super noticeable. So you got to remember as well that this was a KO of one of the, I think this was like number 62 in Hot Toys list of figures they've ever done. So the fact that they've managed to do this with such an old figure is really, really good. As you can see, if you can hold up underneath, you can see the neck just underneath. That's because I have the jacket down. I can put it up higher to hide that, but it's just hanging off for a second there because I've only just got this out of the box. I haven't done all the futs in yet. As you can see, look at the jacket. You can zoom in on the sculpture. You can see there's shells in the sleeve. crevices and cracks. And then there's those barnacles that open and close. These don't open and close on here, but you can see them. Absolutely beautiful. More shells, more barnacles. This is a very nice jacket. It's a shame they couldn't actually pull off something similar with some sort of fabric, but you can understand why they needed to do this with this figure. I mean, how would you do this on clothing, really, without it just turning into a stiff bit of plastic anyway? So many details. You could look at this for hours, couldn't you? Just look at all of that. Then we turn around and we have a look at this pocket. It's muddy, it's dirty. I'd say this is definitely would have been better and more detailed in the Hot Toy release. Would have been able to get away with a bit more. But again, I'm speculating, I don't know for certain. I don't know how good the Hot Toys version was. And then we've got the hand here. There's the back of it. It didn't come with any extra hands, it's just these hands. And I don't think the original Hot Toys version did either. If we can probably zoom in here, we can see the key of Davy Jones. It was like a MacGuffin of the movie. And that's it. Just in addition to what I said earlier about mostly Hot Toys doing clothing, and this needing a lot of sculpted parts rather than actual fabric clothing. You've got to remember that there were other figures like Elder Predator, who was mostly armour and plastic and not a lot much else. It wasn't like he came with loads of fabric and all that kind of thing. He's got a little bit on the side here, but that's very similar to the sashes on things like this. So he wasn't like the only one that Hot Toys did, but it was one of the only ones that Hot Toys did that was supposed to have clothing like the jacket, but they couldn't get away with it, so they had to do this instead. I just wanted to add that in just before people thought I was just talking absolute cod shit and didn't know what I was saying. I do know what I'm saying, kinda, sometimes, not really, but there you go. Okay, let's have a look. I've tried to put him into some sort of semblance of a pose. This is just quick. I'm going to sit here and do it over a long period of time myself for the cabinet. I've just kind of managed to get the pipe near the mouth. It's not fully fixed in there. If I knock that now, that'll probably fly out, but yeah, it kind of works. But as you can see with the hat on, it looks really good. It fits really well as well, you know, it's exactly the same sculpt as the Hot Toys, and they're always very good at fixing hats to heads. It was one of the reasons people really liked Hot Toys. So we'll take that off. Articulation wise on the head, you've got some rolling around. You can turn it, probably get more of a turn like this, but again, there isn't a load, but it's better than I thought it would be, that's for sure. The hand can spin all the way up and down. It's very stiff, but it does go up and down, so be very careful with that. Hand full 360 rotation. It has a bend, you have to turn that around, but you can get it up and down like so. Not much in the way of elbow articulation because of this, I'm afraid. A little bit, but not much. You can see I'm straining to try and do that. With the other arm, goes all the way up. This seaweed is quite soft and malleable, so you can lift this up that way, down, as I suspected it would do. Torso turning, you can turn it quite well. Well, I say well, enough to get a fair pose out of him. You think I'd be doing this with the original Hot Toys version, you're bloody mental, because the amount you have to pay for it now. He can bend forward quite a bit. More than I thought he could actually. And this leg can come forward about so high. Can't bend the leg. Come out, not much. There we go. We can bend the knee here that much, but this rubber suit tends to restrict the movement a little bit. But then, you know, you're talking about the Batman Returns suit and things like that. That can actually hinder articulation. And that's about it. I think the rest of it is all rubberized and fixes on. I need to bend this coat over a little more and get it to fit on just a little bit better, because it keeps falling off a little bit. And you can see how he's a bit wonky now, but that's because I've just been twisting the living life out of him to get him to do any sort of posing. There we go. I quite like this figure. Captain of Octopus is a-okay in my books. Who do I think should get this figure? Right, if you're a massive Hot Toys fan, you want to collect a lot of the work that they've done, you really want to get a lot of the originals, maybe you're a huge Davy Jones fan from Pirate of the Caribbean and you want the best representation of that character in 1/6 scale form that you can get, then maybe this guy isn't for you. You may have to keep waiting and keep looking on eBay and go through Facebook forums and, you know, the buy sell trade groups in Facebook to try and source an original Hot Toys version. But you probably will be paying through the nose for it. This one, the XD Toys version, this is for someone, if you liked Davy Jones in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, he wasn't your favourite character, but he was one of your favourites. You really want a really nice representation of the character to go with, say, your Jack Sparrow figure. He's only going to be used like a background piece to complement the DX06 or maybe the upcoming DX15. Then this guy will certainly do the job. This will not be for you purists who really need to have every finer detail shown off to its best in a museum quality. This is definitely one to show off your DX06 and boost that figure up a little bit more. This guy, if you wanted to get one a similar or approximation of the original, then this guy is a really good version. As you can see, I've bended and twisted him. You can get some posing out of him, more than I thought you could. He still comes with a quality set of accessories. There are no other hands. There won't be a lot of you know, poses that you will get out of him, although I never saw the original Hot Toys version with a lot of hands either. No one's ever shown me a picture of him without this hand on, so I'm assuming that you never got any extra hands. But this guy, the XD Toys version, is a really good version to get if you missed out on the original movie masterpiece version and you would like a nice looking figure to go with your DX06, or maybe just on its own to go in your cabinet, because this is, I would say, 90% close to the Hot Toys original, and I can't argue with that. That's a good call. It loses 10% because the waistcoat isn't exactly right. I think they had to re-sculpt that themselves, but that's just the way it has to be, I'm afraid. So yeah, should you get it? Yes, if you want it for a display piece and you can't afford, or you really don't want to pay through the nose for the original. But if you're a purist, you may just want to hold out and look for the Hot Toys version on eBay and all the forum sites. Am I going to keep him? Yeah, I'm going to keep this guy. This guy's going to go right in my cabinet next to Jack Sparrow. And he's not coming out. He's going to stand there. I loved Davy Jones in the movie. I thought Bill Nighy did an amazing job bringing him to life. I thought the special effects were fantastic for the time. I think they still stand up now. I watch him over and over again in that movie, and he is by far one of the best aspects of the film. I didn't want to pay stupid prices for the figure simply because it is a slightly older figure, and you're paying for rarity rather than the actual super quality. It's still a nice figure, but you know, with things like, say, the original Elder Predator 1.0, I would have liked to have seen Hot Toys go back and take a stab at this guy, because I have the Elder Predator 1.0 and I have the Elder Predator 2.0, and when you put them both next to each other, you can really see the improvements that Hot Toy have done, and I think they could easily do that with this figure a little bit more. They could really go for it. I'm super pleased this guy came out, and if XD Toys are going to do more of this type of thing, more of the original rarer Hot Toys that people cannot get hold of anymore, and Hot Toys have done with it and are not producing any more of them, then please, XD Toys, make Hellboy. That's right, I really would like to see you take a stab at Hellboy. You could probably call him, I don't know, this is called Captain of the Octopus, so you call him Boy of the Red Face, or, you know, something of that quality, you know, that terrible a name. Who cares? No one cares. Put him in a little black box. I couldn't give two stuffs. I would really like to see you take a stab at something like Hellboy and see what you come back with, because yes, it is a knockoff, but it's not being made by Hot Toys anymore. Hellboy's not being made for Hot Toys anymore. It's very unlikely we'll get any more Hellboy figures, because if they wanted to, they could have released one already and we would be living in Hellboy heaven. But they never have, and I think we could really do with a really good version of that. And I think XD Toys could be the people to pull that off. So if they are going to go down this route and start trying to replicate some of the older, rarer figures that people missed out on, then I would say Hellboy would be the next one to go for. I would love that. But that's it, guys. That was just a quick unboxing of the XD Toys Captain of the Octopus figure, aka Davy Jones from Davy Jones from Dead Man's Chest. Thanks for watching, guys, all the way to the end. You're very, very, very patient people. I love you all. If you could do me all a quick favour and get the fuck out of my cave. What was that? Ugh. My throat just went really squeaky. I'm only joking. Okay, guys, honestly though, I'm going now. Alright, get the fuck out of my cave. I love you all. Bye.